Winter's coming. You know that, right? Eventually it's going to get here. I've told you before, here in my area, we have maybe 10 to 14 days of what I consider winter weather during the winter, which is highs not above 40, right? It's about 10 to 14 days total. Most time it's just basically like fall or spring weather around here. We average around, they say 50 degrees, but most days it's 60, 70 degrees. We even see 80s and 90s sometimes during the winter months. You know, what's happened to winter? When I was a kid, we'd have winter. You talk to the weatherman, tell you you're wrong. It didn't snow every year, but yet you can sit there and look back at a photo album and see snow. You know, not every year, but pretty regularly you would see snow, right? Around here, we don't get it that much no more. And if we do get snow, it's nothing more than something to come through, usually either early in the morning or at night, and it's gone the next day, right? It's nothing major, but it does shut down the south here because people don't know how to drive on snow. You can get an inch of snow here, and it's just mass chaos on the highways. People wrecking, people sliding off because they don't know how to drive in the snow. It's ridiculous. And our stores would be sold out of bread and milk, completely sold out. But you know, weather. We hear it all the time that weather, it's going to be a cold, dark winter, long, dark winter, right? We're not seeing that. You have areas that usually gets their snow. They may have a power outage if a big storm comes through, right? You may have an area that gets snow that usually doesn't get a lot of snow or ice, and that storm will come through and it'll knock the power out there, right? It's not, we're not seeing what a lot of people are thinking when they hear that. They're thinking it's going to, a storm's going to come through and shut down the whole from the Mississippi to the ocean, right? It's just not doing that. Could it do it? Yes. It could do it, excuse me. It could do it, but we're not seeing it. I think the winter is going to be just like it's been being. Weather is unpredictable. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's unpredictable. It's going to do what it wants to do. We may see a snowstorm here in the south. We're kind of due for it. We haven't had a good snow in probably a decade, or pretty close to a decade. We're kind of due for it. We had a good one a couple years ago, but it didn't last that long. It was pretty much gone within 2 days. It does get chilly here. That's something it does do at night, but it doesn't get cold and stay cold. Like I said, 10 to 14 days of winter weather. And what's funny is when it gets cold like that, like the high's not even going to get above freezing, our weathermen will start screaming you're going to die if you're outside working in it. Just stay huddled up and stuff like that. It's, you know what I'm talking about. Same thing they're doing with the heat this summer. They're acting like the summer heat is something new. We have this every year. Every year we see heat. Now, if you live up north, I know your winters sometimes are rough, sometimes are longer than ours too. But here lately, we haven't really seen no big winter weather events that just cripple an area for weeks and weeks and weeks, right? It'll come through. And like I said, Dallas, it got hit a couple years ago. But guys, it's weather. It's going to do what it wants to do. You need to be prepared for it. You need to have a way to heat your house. You need to have a way to keep, if you want to keep your refrigerator and stuff on. When it gets that cold and the power is out, you can set your stuff out on your porch and it'll stay cold or froze pretty much, depending on how cold it is. But you do need, some way to heat your home. I'm not going to tell you how to do that because different areas there's different rules on what you can heat with, is what I'm being told. Some places you can't have wood heaters, some places you can't have propane heat. You make that decision on yourself and whatever legal in your area to have secondary heat source. Now's the time to get prepared for this stuff, not when the weatherman says there's a snowstorm coming. You don't wait until, 2 days before the weather gets there. You need to be prepared for it. I'm pretty sure this year we'll see a big blizzard or something somewhere in the United States that'll do some damage. But overall, I don't know. Our winters are just not winter no more. I don't like it. I like it to be cold. And another thing, our leaves don't fall off the tree and completely gone until around December. They don't. Being in the woods a lot hunting, our leaves will hold all through November sometimes, and around December they'll all be gone. And when I was younger, the leaves started falling sometimes at the end of September. You know, they would start turning September and start falling at the end of September or into October. And usually by Thanksgiving, all the leaves were gone off the trees, but now they're holding on more. I'm not sure what's causing that. I don't know. Probably the temperatures. But I'm not a weatherman, you know. I didn't go to school to study weather. But guys, the winter's going to get here before we know it. I mean, you blink sometimes and a year goes by, right? The winter's going to be here. You need to be preparing now for the winter. You know, could the power go out in your area? Yes, it could. It could be a storm that hit 100 miles away from you that could knock the power out in your area. You need to be prepared for it now. You need secondary heat sources. You need a way to cook food. You know, you need a way to stay warm. Like I said, if it's cold enough, you can set your food out and it'll stay cold. That's what we did here during the 93 blizzard. We had, where I lived, we had right around 27 inches of snow. Some of y'all are going to say that's not much. But you got to understand this area, a 4-inch snow is crippling, right? We were without power for about 2 weeks up on the mountain. And what we did, we just put our groceries out on the snow in the back porch. And that's how, we had wood heat, you know, so we had a way to cook and stay warm. Nowadays, a lot of people don't have that. Everything's electric, right? They got electric heat, they got split units, all this kind of stuff. That's how they heat their house. But they have no way to heat it if that stuff goes out. They have no way to cook because all they have is an electric stove. Now's the time to be preparing for this stuff. Let's say you buy some way to heat your house and you buy some way to cook this way and nothing happens, right? And you're like, I bought that stuff and wasted money. No, you didn't waste money, because when you go buy it next year or 2 years from now, it's going to be double the price of what you paid for it this year, right? Them little wood heaters that you use in camping stoves, those things used to be anywhere from $40 to $70 for a decent one, right? I'm talking about the small wood heaters that you use in a tent. Now those things average $90 up to $300. Ever since the pandemic, that stuff shot up because more people's buying it, right? So you can save money by buying it now compared to waiting 2 or 3 years to buy it. Even if you don't use it this year, you've got it. It's not a waste of money. Let me know your thoughts on this. Does your winter get bad where you live every year, or is it kind of a hit and miss? It may snow, it may not. What's your average temperature during the winter here, or where you live? Our average temperature, they say, is around 50 degrees, 60 degrees here, but I'm telling you, for the past few years, we're more up in the 60s and 70s all through winter with cold snaps. That's how we're seeing it. Let me know your thoughts on it. Keep your head on a swivel, be aware of your surroundings at all times, protect yourself and your family at all times. At that moment, you're the only person that can do it, and keep prepping.